All right, we're recording.
Okay, good.
Okay. What's our intro for this?
Oh,
Oh, yeah, that is.
that's pretty good.
Pretty good, Jeff. I like how you threw in the bass line there.
That's my favorite part of the whole thing.
Shout out David Northrup, the great jazz drummer David Northrup, and his album was it Squares? I have it right here. It's
Oh, do you?
Shapes.
Well, Squares is part of it. That was track 2.
Let's
the Squares.
Give old David Northrup some love. So
Hey.
David Northrup, our buddy David, he's toured with Travis Tritt, Winona, the Oak Ridge Boys.
Yeah.
Gosh, I don't tons and tons of country music folks, but his passion is jazz drumming.
I love
That's his CD Shape. So help out David Northrup. So David allowed us to use a lot of his music on the show here, and that's
Absolutely.
and that's one of the ones that we use.
Absolutely.
There you go.
There you go.
Thank you, David.
We love everything about him except his football team fandom.
Yeah, because he's a Steeler fan.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. All right, hit it, Jeff. Hit the drop. What is up, Raider Nation? Your buddy Murf back once again for what we trust will be a fantastic episode of the Raiders Fan Radio Rundown. This is where Jeff and I pre-record shows, and then we upload them live to the YouTube for your viewing pleasure, for your oral pleasure, and your what's the eyes? For your eyes pleasure. Sight, your visual
pleasure.
visual stimulation.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oral pleasure and
And I guess if you're looking for visual stimulation, you came to the wrong place with these two faces made for radio.
yeah, I guess so.
But anyway,
those two go hand in hand.
What's that?
Oral pleasure and visual pleasure. If you're a guy that those you got to have both of
you
those.
got to
right?
have both those.
Jeez, Jeff. Well, this is started off.
There we go. All right.
Yep. Welcome in.
Whoa. Yes, welcome to the Fan Cave. This is where we talk about the Raiders. Sometimes. But we appreciate you checking in with us, Raider Nation. Appreciate everybody that's on the YouTubes. We can't read the comments because we're pre-recorded, but you know who you are in there, and so we appreciate you checking us out here on this Friday evening. All right, so we've got a handful of Raiders stories to get to. Pre-show.
Yes.
Actually, what am I doing? What
What are you doing?
First and foremost, let me welcome into
Hold on.
Okay, good.
Murf, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking that it's time to welcome in my best friend and yours. He adorns the Western Annex of the Murf Fan Cave desk. He is Swag Jeff.
Nice.
It's styling and profiling.
It's good to be here. It's good
to have you, Swaggo.
Absolutely, man, for sure, man. I feel like every time we come here, like I always say, like it feels like it's been a million years since we've been here, because it kind of feels that way. You know what I mean?
It's been a week and a half.
It's been a week and a half, man. And we haven't been in here since our 3-hour show.
Oh my gosh!
Holy cow! Yeah,
that's why those shows end up getting so long, is because we only
don't
do
see
them every
each
other
other.
week.
Yeah. And Michelle doesn't typically get here until like maybe an hour before showtime. So we're trying to catch up with her and stuff too. So I mean, our catch up time sometimes is during the show. Chit chatting and chopping it up with Michelle. So yeah. The off season is just kind of an every other week kind of thing. But I miss the every week. I love the every week.
I do.
And if there were enough Raider content, I mean, we could talk about the draft all the friggin' time. But,
there are people better equipped to do that than us.
Yeah.
And, when you think about like our buddy Graff and
Yes.
Wasted and those guys.
phenomenal job.
Phenomenal. They are draft junkies. There's
Yes.
nothing that we're going to be able to bring to the table that's any better than what those content creators are already doing in terms of draft analysis. And so we leave it to the pros.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? When it's not our wheelhouse is
Sure.
Now, post draft.
Oh, we're all in.
That's where we're digging in. And then listen, Jeff and I were talking about this before we got started here tonight. It's not that I'm uninterested. It's just that when you do the math, there is about 4% of the players drafted in this entire draft are going to end up being Raiders.
Right.
So it's
on the high end.
That's if they don't trade out of picks and stuff, So for the most part, these players that we study are not going to end up on the team. It is interesting to me in the top round or two So like, looking through like, the list of quarterbacks, like if we decide to draft a quarterback in that 7th spot, who are the guys that it's potential for us to be there? If we don't, if we just go defense, who are the premier defensive players like that? Because the likelihood of us drafting, one of the top 4 quarterbacks,
right?
The likelihood of that is pretty high. The likelihood of us drafting Tyree Wilson, Christian Gonzalez, Jalen Carter, one of the top tier defensive players, is very likely. You can take this like group of like 10 guys and go, okay, one of these 10 are going to be a Raider.
Right.
That's a very interesting conversation. But then when you get down into the lower tiers of the draft, like that's where we got to have our buddy Murphy come in.
Exactly.
Group of 5 guy. We know he's like a big Clayton Tune guy. He loves Clayton Tune out of Houston, quarterback. And so, in fact, Mo had a thing today. Mo released today on Twitter about how Clayton Tune is like, he's up there with Young and Levis and
Hooker and all those,
Richardson and all that.
Yep.
He's like,
Bennett.
and he's even ahead of those guys. He's ahead of Stenson Bennett. He's ahead of Hooker. He's ahead of, I don't know, Todd Centillo or whatever from James Madison. I don't know him, but he's higher than Tanner McKee from Stanford, and he's higher than Jake Haener at freaking Fresno. So this dude is like, Clayton Tune is the 5th highest ranked. I think that was PFF.
Yeah,
is what
he's
it was.
soaring up that list because really, and maybe that is another sign that we don't pay that much attention to this kind of stuff because I've never heard of that guy at all. Period.
Not until Murphy mentioned him that one day.
Right.
That was the first time that I ever heard of the guy.
For sure. So yeah, so much respect to him. But yeah, I think our thing around here is we're a fan of the Raiders that are, not the ones that aren't. And as much as we are junkies for this team and all that, like the people that may not be Raiders, like. I could not tell you who the Raiders are going to pick in the 4th or 5th round this year. I don't know. And frankly, I don't care. I care, but like not to the point where I want to study and give you about 10 different options of who that's going to be.
Right.
I like to be surprised. The draft day I feel like is kind of like the Raiders version of Christmas. You know what I mean? So it's like this, what are we going to get? What present, because your 1st round pick, that's the one that Santa brought, right? So that's like, ooh, this is the big one.
It's not even wrapped. It's just under the tree in the morning.
And then the 6th round pick is like the socks that you needed. You know what I mean? And we love that. We love that. And we need that. You know what I mean? You need that.
Socks.
You need some socks in your life, man. So I just enjoy it. And we love listening and watching folks like Graf, Wasted, stuff like that. We keep NFL Network on at our house all the time. So, so that's where I trust all of those folks way more than the 2 knuckleheads right here.
Amen. Absolutely. And that's the thing too, is I feel like even if I dug in on it, like I'm not enough of a tape junkie or good enough at that kind of stuff to like be effective anyways. And I feel like we'd just be up here we you know what I'm saying? That's what I was saying. Like we leave it to the guys that are really good at it to do it. And much respect to them and the work that they're doing and all that. And look forward to draft. We're going to join those guys on draft day. So for draft day, so a little bit of housekeeping here, and I swear we're going to talk about the Raiders in a minute. We're going to do a show on Friday.
Yes.
We're going to do a show. So Thursday's round 1. We're going to do a round 2 show because Jeff and I will be here, and QB Jeff, who I just mentioned, Group of 5 expert, is going to be here as well. And so there's likelihood or more of a likelihood of Group of 5 players getting drafted in that round, not just by the Raiders, but by anybody. And so what we're going to do is we're going to pop on because they're doing rounds 2 and 3, right?
Yes.
On that day. So very likelihood by the time we get to the 3rd round, you might see a Clayton Tune or whatever go to the Raiders. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a little show, probably about an hour before the draft starts. Then we're going to jump on and do little mini shows after each Raider pick.
Perfect.
Because that's where I'm thinking, like what we talked about. We're not pros around who and what, but after that player gets picked, I'm the biggest fan in the world, and we're going to dig in. So we're going to have Murphy here to help break it down. I mean, not only is he a Group of 5 expert, the guy is a former NCAA, Division I starting quarterback. Like he knows his shit when it comes to not only the quarterback position, but he's the guy that knows film and understands evaluation and talent and all that kind of shit.
Right.
So he'll be on here to give you a legitimate opinion, and then Jeff and I will be over here spazzing out about just fandom shit.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah. We'll be talking about Jimmy Garoppolo or something like that. So we bring in the experts for that kind of stuff because it ain't us. And that's okay. And there's nothing wrong with that.
No, and then we'll be, so that will intersperse with joining Graf. And
yes,
his crew.
talk about that.
We're going to kind of jump on it. So, man, last night I had an absolute blast.
Yes.
Absolute blast. You know,
respect to Graf.
Much
for
respect.
that.
Much respect. So, Graf reached out to Swaggo and I and said, hey, I'm doing a show with Stu. For those of you that don't know, Stuart Schweigert is a former safety for the Raiders back in the early 2000s, wore number 30, a great player, great dude, even better
Unbelievable guy.
Unbelievable guy. And so he asked if I wanted to jump on there and join him, and I never met Stu before. I jumped on and I had an absolute blast. It's not often that I have as much fun podcasting without you guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And last night was one of those times because then we're all homers for our own crew,
sure.
Right? Then that should be where we have the most enjoyable experience. So to do that, have that experience outside of you guys, I'm telling you, it was amazing. I thought I was going to pop on there for like 20 minutes, 30 minutes or something like that. Dude, we did a 2-hour show.
2-hour show.
And had an absolute freaking ball doing
Absolutely.
it. We had so much fun. So anyway, so much respect to those guys. And in fact, Stu and I have exchanged numbers, and he's going to be on our show soon. And
good.
So yeah, and he's not that far away. We might even give him the fan cave one of these days.
Absolutely.
So much respect to him. And so, yeah, so he's also during that show said, why don't you and Swaggy come and join us for draft night?
Yeah.
So we'll kind of pop in and out of our channel, his channel. Yep. We'll kind of be all over the place for the draft. So it should be a really fun time.
Absolutely. Really absolutely. It should. Yeah. And so much respect, like we said, to Graf and Stu for having Murf on for that. And Graf shared the audio with us as well. So if you're not subscribed to what is his channel called now? It's the OLV.
It's OLV.
OLV networks, the Oak Las Vegas podcast network, radio network. What is that? Is that what it is?
It's OLV podcast network.
Okay, because we're gonna purposely screw that up for a little bit because it keeps calling us Murf's Fan Cave. So I'm just kidding, obviously, but yeah. So if you're not tuned into him, you can find it on our podcast. Anywhere you listen to Raiders Fan Radio, you can listen to that entire interview there as well. So.
Yeah, and if you're not subscribed to the audio podcast, please do. For those of you that are on the YouTubes right now, you can ask your internet-connected device. You can go to any of your favorite podcast services, Stitcher, Apple, Google, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Spotify, you name it, man. If they got a podcast, they got us. And so please do us a favor and subscribe there to Raiders Fan Radio. And with your support, of course, it increases advertising opportunities for us and exposure. And with all that, what we do is we raise money for our nonprofit, which is the One Nation Foundation. So thank you to you all very, very much for that. And yeah, and if you want to just check out the audio of it, and it's a blast. It's fun. It's rated R. So you know. Yep. Protect your virgin ears there because there's some big language that gets thrown around, but it's fun and funny, dude.
Oh, dude, it's hilarious.
I had a blast. I had an absolute blast. All right, so wow. Okay, we were all over the place there.
Hey, so
yeah, you go.
Yeah, toss it to me. So in honor of talking about respect, obviously giving respect to our buddy Graf, I want to give respect to Josh McDaniels. Which
nice.
Sometimes he's a guy that a lot of people don't want to respect. You know,
catches a lot of heat.
He catches a lot of heat, and sometimes for good reason, but sometimes for not. You know,
that's true too.
So I want to give respect to our head coach, and the reason I'm doing that is because yesterday Josh McDaniels has supplied equipment to a ton of the local high school football teams in Las Vegas and the girls flag football teams as well. So much respect, respect to him. So here's a photo right here of well, you can't really. Is that better? Whatever, you see it. Follow the Raiders on socials, and you'll see.
For the one of you that follows us and not them.
Yeah, for sure.
If you're listening to this show, you probably follow the Raiders on social media.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe except Ebony Graves. I think Ebony Graves might be the only one that doesn't follow the Raiders, but will follow us.
We're working on that.
We're working on that. But
come on, Turan.
But yeah, heck yeah, man. But yeah, respect the coach
that's
for that,
true
man.
love.
Like that's true. I mean, like fully like embedding yourself within the community, reaching out, all this stuff. I mean, because if that were me in high school, I'd be a lifelong fan forever.
Oh,
you know, because they brought him to the facility, into the freaking, team meeting room and all that stuff. So you see the pictures of all the legends at Allegiant Stadium, right? And then McDaniels is out there and he's taking pictures with everybody and he's giving everyone shirts and hats and swag and jerseys and all this kind of stuff. Like if that were me, if I was 16 years old in that, I'd be a Raider fan till the day I died, no matter what allegiance I had before. So it's cool that he's building up that Las Vegas Raiders fandom as well within our youth and within our kids that, will they're the next generation of Raider fans coming up. We need diehard fans.
Amen, dude. And that's a great point because like when we, have criticized the Raiders over the past couple years and especially last year about the opposing team's fans showing up and quote, taking over Allegiant Stadium and all that. And the Raiders, when confronted with that, their response was, we're focused on growing our fan base in Las Vegas organically, and that over time will naturally counter
100%
what's going on from the exterior of these fan bases. Well, here it is in action. This is the kind of stuff that's going on to be able to counter that and that influx of fans is that you'll have a local fan base that's now been where it doesn't, like you said, Jeff, if you were in that position, you're a fan regardless of wins and losses. That ain't fair weather. When you have that type of a visceral connection to a team and to an organization, you're going to be a fan. I know this isn't a hockey show, but I want to use you as an example. You moved to Nashville around the same time the Predators did.
Yeah.
And with what your dad does for a living, you had an insight and a connection in going to games and being, not catered to, but treated with a little bit of a VIP type experience by the
100%.
And now your fandom for the Nashville Predators is like unmatched. Like I've never met anybody that's as big of a fan of a hockey team as you.
Right. Yeah, for sure. And then you and I, fortunately, this season get to take an even more in-depth look into what it means to travel with the team. Murf and I, we got to travel with the Nashville Predators this season.
That was insane, man.
Unbelievably. And we got our asses whipped that game. But like that experience and the whole, the Preds treating us, taking us to 5-star dinners and, put us in a amazing hotel and, bumping elbows with, the players and stuff, and all the players are so kind. How could you not become more of a fan when you get ingrained in that way? More than just, buying a 300 level ticket to Allegiant Stadium or to Bridgestone Arena or anywhere like that. But like, if you get like a little deeper, you get a little deeper. And so and that's what McDaniels has done. And, and Mark Davis is, he's notorious for doing stuff like that, giving back to the community, reaching out, connecting with folks, stuff like that. And that's what and Al did the same thing. And, John Madden and, and all of our alumni group. We talk about Stu. All those folks, absolutely giving back, reaching out, connecting with fans, connecting with the people that will continue this legacy for a long time. So to see McDaniels do that, it's really cool. And something simple is just, buying the guys football pads or, or whatever it is that they need, but like just some small gift to the community in that way to connect you on a personal level with those people. That's just, what more can you ask for?
Absolutely. It makes sense all the way around. It makes sense from a charitable perspective. Yes. It makes sense from a connectivity, from a business perspective to grow your fan base because you're going to need fans. Like, it just makes sense all the way around the horn. And so anyway, much respect and props to the Raiders and Josh McDaniels for doing that. All right, let's go ahead and hit a break. And then I got an idea. Let's talk about the Raiders.
Hey, let's do that.
This is Raiders Fan Radio. I'm Brent Musburger, and I don't care who wins as long as it's the Raiders.
All right, I got someone else we probably should give some respect to.
Okay, go ahead.
I didn't think this would ever come up on this show again, or this name would cross my lips in terms of respect anymore.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Derek Carr. Let's give respect to Derek Carr.
Okay.
Do it.
I'll push the button.
You got to respect Derek Carr. For those of you that have followed this show long enough, you kind of know what my take has been on Derek Carr this offseason and his... Well, I don't want to call them antics, but we'll say his responses to the way that things unfolded and whatnot. And I think those things are still, you can be critical of. But when you do something cool, you're going to get respect. Fair is fair. So Derek Carr this week, for whatever reason, when the Panini folks, Panini is the folks that make sports cards, right? Okay. The Panini folks mistakenly sent a Justin Herbert card to Derek Carr. They were probably mailing these things out in order to gather autographs. Like, each prominent NFL player probably receives, I don't know, a few hundred of these things in the mail.
Yeah, maybe not even that many.
Maybe
I feel
not even...
I don't know how in touch with football card collecting you are right now.
I'm not. So you go.
So card collecting in general. So COVID happened, right?
Yeah.
We're all at the house. We ain't got nothing to do besides watch Raiders fan radio and collect cards. That's all anyone did. And so, Pokemon cards came back in an unbelievable way during COVID because everyone's at home. They're buying
kidding.
cards online, collecting stuff, selling stuff. If you're,
I didn't know that.
If you were growing up and you collected old Pokemon cards in the, late 90s or whatever, you're sitting on a freaking gold mine right now. If those are in good condition, absolutely. And football cards are even more so. So
because I know that market, the collecting card market, because I used to collect baseball cards and shit when I was a kid. But it got to be where it was so saturated that nothing was worth nothing.
Nothing was
unless
worth nothing.
you had a Mickey Mantle rookie or something like that.
Right. But now football cards in particular. Yes, there are baseball, basketball, all that kind of stuff have versions of these as well. But cards nowadays, the holy shit ones, it's pieces of game used jerseys and it's laces of a shoe or laces of a football or something like that. It's embedded. Some of these cards are for one card is thick.
Oh,
thickness.
no kidding.
Yeah,
okay.
And that's one of the ones that Derek Carr received from Justin Herbert. So on that one, it was it was like an NFL patch or whatever. So it was
from his jersey,
patch from it was a game worn jersey, and those are typically 1 out of 15 or something like that.
Okay.
So they're rare as shit. So yeah, so finish the story there.
Okay, so Derek Carr gets this. So again, I imagine. So they're probably getting 15. Derek Carr gets 15 cards. Herbert gets 15 cards. Patrick Mahomes gets whatever. So, and then they sign them, send them back to the Panini folks.
Right.
And then they package them up as randoms or whatever else, right?
Yep.
All right. So Derek Carr receives this Justin Herbert card by mistake and signs it with not only his name, but with the year and the score from when we beat the damn Chargers to make it to the playoffs and knock them out. Much respect, Derek Carr, man. That was, that's a baller move right there.
That is a baller move right there, man. I'll say this, that's probably the most Raidery shit that Derek Carr did in all of last year. The most Raidery shit that he did, man. What a freaking stud, man. We, like you said before we started talking about this, a lot of folks know where we stand on Derek Carr today. He's not a Raider right now, and so we ain't got time for that some bitch. But when he comes back, obviously we're gonna give the respect back. It will return again. But I respect the shit out of him for doing that.
That's good petty.
Solid petty.
That's good. You know what I mean?
And whoever gets their hand on that card, bro,
holy crap.
That's gonna be that's a one. That's a one of literally one. That will never happen again, probably. And the person at Panini may have gotten fired for doing that, whatever.
Or not, because they're getting talked about like crazy.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, that how can you not respect that? That's so dope.
Right. Yeah. Good stuff there. So appreciate old Derek. All right. So speaking of Derek Carr.
Oh God. Okay.
Let's talk about. Wow. For somebody said I wasn't going to bring him up anymore if we were talking about him a lot. Yeah.
Speaking of Derek Carr.
Well, here's what's interesting.
No, I know where you're going with this. This is going to be a fun conversation.
This is a fun conversation. So the schedule opponents for each team in the NFL has been released. Everyone's got their opponent list, and we're going to get to the formula behind the list and stuff. This is going to be fun, guys.
Yeah.
But also the strength of schedule came out. So that, which has just been released. And I forget who it was responsible. I don't think it was PFF, but somebody ranked out and released the strength of schedule. And we've got the top 5 and the bottom 5. And the reason that I bring up this on the heels of Derek Carr is that guess who has the easiest strength of schedule? going into next season. It's the freaking Saints. And when he got traded to the, well, not traded, when he signed with the Saints,
right?
That was one of the first things I did because I was just curious. Because the Raiders have had historically, just let alone just because of our division, we've had a struggle with our schedule. We've had a tough schedule. Plus, we got to, whenever we travel to the East Coast, it's the longest trip, for us or Seattle or San Diego or whatever. But so it's not uncommon for the Raiders to have a tougher schedule.
Sure.
But knowing that he was going to go to the NFC South, I'm like, wait a minute. Doesn't everybody in the NFC South need a quarterback? Like, it's not a great division. Like, the Buccaneers won it. Were they what? They were 8-9? I don't think they had a winning record, right?
Yeah, maybe.
I think so.
I think so. You're right.
So, listen. So that division is not going to be tough. Well, I knew it was going to be easy. I didn't expect it was going to be the easiest in the NFL. But anyways, as soon as I saw that how easy their schedule was going to be, I'm like, this sumbitch is going to go in there and win 11 games and make the playoffs, and every Kardashian in the world is going to go, see, all I needed was a defense. Look at New Orleans' defense. And look, it's going to be the biggest shit toss in our face. Look, regardless of what the Raiders do, the Raiders could win 13 games and make the playoffs, and still there will be a contingent on Twitter and everywhere else that will go, see, all we needed to do was just give him this or give him that.
The problem wasn't the quarterback.
Because they literally have a shit schedule. Like, their division alone, like, I forget who their other outside the division opponents were, but it's like the Texans and like maybe the Browns or something. Like, it's like,
well, it was like the easiest strength of schedule was like 3 of those teams went 1, 2, 3 in that division. It was like
Saints, Falcons, Panthers.
Saints, Falcons, Panthers. And, so as of today, the snapshot of the NFC South today, which I don't know why we're talking about the NFC South because the Raiders don't play.
Well, it
leads into what we're talking about.
It leads into the Raiders here.
But so at a snapshot today, the top 2 quarterbacks in that division are Derek Carr and Baker Mayfield. Those are your top 2 right now. So, yes, the Falcons, the Falcons drafted. We looked at that guy. What's the rookie guy?
Oh, Desmond Ritter.
Ritter. Yeah. Out of Cincinnati.
Yes.
So he's coming on up. Marcus. I think he got some playing time after Marcus quit the team last year. Or whatever.
Well, he was good in college.
He was great in college.
Yeah,
he was
that
great
was
in
that
college.
good Cincinnati team that went
to
the Final
college
Four.
Playoffs. Yeah, made the college football playoffs for sure. But Panthers, number 1 pick. So, CJ Stroud, more than likely, one of those guys, Bryce Young, someone like that will go and will immediately be in contention for that top quarterback spot. Derek will still have the edge because of, his, veteran, he's been around the league a long time, knows how the league works, stuff like that. He'll probably be ranked as the highest rated quarterback going into the season. But if you throw that on the flip side, though, so they have the easiest strength of schedule.
Yeah, so check it out. So here's our opponents.
Okay.
So they got the Falcons, Panthers, and Buccaneers, obviously.
Right, twice.
Yes. Then they play, these are their road games. The Colts, that ought to be a W. The Vikings, that could be a tough one for them.
Yep.
The Rams, who knows what the Rams are going to be like this year, man. That's talk about up in the air. A Green Bay, so minus Aaron Rodgers, Green Bay. The Texans.
Yep.
And then the Patriots. That's their away games. Their home teams, they got the Lions, which actually that might be sneaky tougher.
Yep.
The Jaguars, that'll be a tough one.
Yep.
The Titans, they'll smoke the Titans. Titans aren't going to beat anybody this year.
Yeah.
The Bears, who are not good. And then the Giants. So I see like 2 games, maybe Minnesota on the road and the Giants at home pose a major threat. Otherwise,
but isn't that always? But I feel like we're following Derek Carr and doing the same shit for Derek that we did for him for 10 effing years, man. I only see a few games that we're going to lose here. We're going to win the Super Bowl. I mean, my dumb ass this past year was like, we're going to go 12-5. Nah, bro, we're not doing that. And you know what? And Derek Carr ain't going to do that either. He's going to lose some stupid ass games like he always does. And that's, and good for them. But, and he'll probably make the playoffs, maybe at, 9-8, whatever. But like, if you just said, because you said it'd be fuel to the fire for the Kardashians, right? All those folks are going to be like, see, it was the defense, it was the coaching, it was the this, it was the that. Derek Carr's the second coming of Christ. All these different things. But like on the opposite side, how poetic would it be if he went 5-12
on the easiest strength of schedule and a good defense,
and then all of the in-betweeners, the people that don't care, that like the team more than the quarterback, and then the people that just hate Derek Carr for whatever reason they do, they're going to be like, "See, we told you." You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, it's gonna be very interesting.
It's gonna be very interesting.
Not to say that I hope he doesn't win any games, but he's not the Raiders quarterback, so that's why he didn't win any games.
That's exactly. Oh my gosh, that's funny, Jeff. All right. So
how does this tie into the Raiders?
How does this tie into the Raiders? Okay, well, don't you know that just like I talked about a second ago, how we typically have a tough strength of schedule because our division is so good,
right?
Because of the way that we travel and the way that it rotates around with opponents. The Raiders have the fourth hardest schedule. So the hardest schedule in the league this year is the Patriots, then the Bills, then the Chiefs, then us, and then the Dolphins. Well, no surprise there that the top 6 toughest teams are in 2 divisions that are playing each other this year.
Right.
So Jeff and I dug into it a little bit pre-show, and it's really interesting the way that the NFL schedules are. And I know this has been out a hot minute, and some of you may be familiar with this. I was loosely familiar with it, but not like we are now after studying this a little bit. So it's really interesting the way that NFL schedules get formulated, or the formula behind how the schedule is put together. So here's how it goes. So you got 6 games against your divisional opponents. That's an obvious. 2 games per team, 1 at home, 1 on the road. That's where it starts.
Sure.
Then you go to 4 games against teams from a division within its conference. 2 games at home, 2 on the road. There's your AFC East for the Raiders. So that's 10 games now that have been taken up. All right. 4 games against teams from a division in the other conference. 2 games at home, 2 on the road. So now we're up to 14 games, and that conference for us this year is the NFC North.
Yes.
Okay. Then you have 2 games against teams from the 2 remaining divisions in its own conference. 1 game at home and 1 game on the road. Matchups are based on division ranking from the previous season. So in that case, we are playing the AFC South,
right?
And we're playing the Colts because the Colts finished third
in their division
in the AFC South, just like we did. Okay. Then the other one is against the Steelers.
Right. The NFC, or the AFC
North, because they finished third in their division.
Right.
So then the last game is a new 17th game, is an additional game against a non-conference opponent from a division that the team is not scheduled to play. Matchups are based on division ranking from the previous season. And that, Jeff, is who?
That is the New England Patriots, right?
No, we're playing
I'm sorry.
Playing the East.
Well, because we're playing the NFC East, so that would be the. We'll just say it.
It's the Steelers.
It's the Steelers. It's
the
Steelers.
AFC North.
Right.
Yeah, it's the AFC
so
North.
So all of us in the AFC West are playing an AFC opponent, AFC East opponent.
That is correct. And so talk about that, about how it rotates around.
Yeah, absolutely. So we play the Steelers, and but it's the same thing. It's based on rankings, right? So they finished third. Is that right?
Yeah, because
the bonus game.
Yeah, because
right?
the Chiefs are going to play the Bengals.
But I thought the last one was a non-conference game.
Was the last one a non-conference game? Dang it! Did we mess this up? Oh, non-conference opponent from a division is. Yeah, you're right. So it isn't the Steelers. No. So who is it then? It's the Giants.
It's the Giants.
It's the Giants. Yes, but that wouldn't be. But they won their division.
Just a random thing.
That's just a random.
Did they win the division? No, they didn't.
The Giants?
The Giants didn't win their division.
Philly did.
Philly did. And then Cowboys were second.
Were they really?
Yes.
The Giants were third? Oh, well, there you go.
That was a tight division.
Okay,
right there.
Well, there you go.
So, yeah. So then Denver will play the Washington.
We'll play Washington.
And then we play the Giants. The
Chiefs
Chargers.
will play
Chiefs will play the Eagles. And then the Chargers will play the Cowboys.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. So it's cool how that works out that way. And again, I knew that there was a formula. Obviously, I knew you play your division
right
every year, and I knew we played another division out of conference. And then I know they rotate through the AFC conferences, but I didn't understand the formula behind it. But that's how come like we had years where like the Raiders played the Titans 3 years in a row. And it just happened to be because they kept lining up
in the division,
lining up in the division that we would finish in the same place that they did.
Yep.
And then and so 1 year they were in the rotation, one year they were the random.
We kept doing that because the Colts would always win the NFC or the AFC South, and the Chiefs were always winning the or the Broncos or whoever, but we were always in that 2 spot.
Always in that 2 spot.
So yeah.
Yeah, and so that's where you get the Chiefs have such a tough strength of schedule because they're playing all the first place teams in these other things.
Right.
So you get these other conferences you have to play, and they have to play the Eagles. They have to play the Bengals. They have to play all the best teams in those respective conferences where we're playing the third best team.
Right.
So, but even playing the third best team, we still have the freaking fourth hardest schedule because of our goddamn division.
Right.
Because we got to play the Chiefs twice. We got to play the freaking Chargers twice. Like the Broncos are whatever. We'll take care of the Broncos, but like, it's crazy, man. But anyway, so there you go. So that's kind of how the schedule breaks down. We were also talking too about what game we want to go to, and I can't wait till this thing gets released. So we're next month? It's
I think it's like mid-May.
Yeah.
I think is when that gets released. So so we'll find out a lot of things. We'll find out what game we're going to get to go to this year, and we're going to get to find out when Biletnikov's going to be.
Yes, absolutely. And we're thinking it's going to be October, but it might be early November. Like it's going to be around in that range. So okay, all right, good stuff there. So I got one more thing. You got anything else before I get to like our last little note here?
No, it's this is just a funny time of year that, like what we said at the start of the show where, we're not draft junkies. Yes, you pick your people and everyone seems to get married to one or two players. Like, well, that's my guy. I want this guy.
Well, and like we married Hendon Hooker.
We married Hendon Hooker, and
I never thought I'd marry a hooker.
It could be worse. But or could it? Maybe not. I don't know. Chat, tell us what's worse than married hooker. But yeah, so you see,
there's a couple people come to mind.
Yeah. Oh well, there you go. Yeah, for sure. But so you get married to those people, and most people on every whatever fan you're a fan of, whatever team you're a fan of, most people get their hearts broken. You know what I mean? Like the video of you and Mosh standing outside in the rain at everyone thinking Josh Allen, Kentucky, and then what do we end up doing? The F to the E to the R whatever. But and just that heartbreak of like you married that guy because we got pumped up by someone else. You saw the stats, you saw the highlights, you saw this stuff. This is my guy. Well, Hendon Hooker, I'm a huge UT fan. I'm a big Tennessee fan. So I love Hendon Hooker. And, and before he got injured, before the season ended this past year, he was a front runner for the Heisman, and he's an older guy and all that kind of stuff, but I love that guy. I'd take him at 7. He's 1,000,000% going to be there at 7. It's a team game. There's more than just the quarterback that makes the difference. So defense is really what we need to do. But, but more than likely we'll be heartbroken. Someone will take Hooker late in the first round, something like that, and we'll be like, well, what the hell?
Yeah, and it'll be the freaking Broncos or some shit.
Exactly.
And we're going to be like, God.
Now, instead of being in love with this guy, now we got to hate this guy.
Now we got to hate this guy. Yeah, that's the worst, dude.
And that's the other reason why you can't get too attached during draft time. Because you could love a guy and be like, oh my gosh, this guy's going to wreck Patrick Mahomes every single week and stuff like that. And then he ends up getting signed by the Chiefs or something like that.
Yeah,
and be
or
like,
a Niner or a Cowboy or whatever.
But just to keep it in the division where guy that you got to watch two times a year, like instead of being super pumped that guy's going to, just absolutely blast Justin Herbert, 8 times a year or whatever. Now we got to worry about him, hurting Jimmy Garoppolo. You know what I mean? So that's, that's the risk that you take when you fall in love with players during the draft. And so that's kind of why, we have to look at certain positions and certain players and stuff like that. But, I just like the draft. The draft is and that's the other thing too. Love the draft,
and don't want that to get lost. Like we're not being dismissive around what the draft is, because
God, it's one of my favorite times of the year,
dude,
man.
In Vegas last year was the draft in Vegas last year, and Valerie and I talked about this, and I can't remember if you and I do. We might just have to make Vegas and the draft a thing every year,
a thing.
regardless of where it's at.
Sure,
it was so damn fun being in Las Vegas for the draft.
Yes.
Even aside from the fact that we had all of our people there and we were
just
having
the
a big old
that
time.
we had last year. I mean, that was just incredible.
It was
you know?
incredible.
I mean,
Vegas is a perfect place to watch the draft.
Perfect place. It's a perfect place to watch it. And, we got to meet some really cool people and stuff like that. We
Charles Woodson.
I mean, oh yeah, the GOAT. Yeah, no big deal. But, I mean, but just like the entire experience, the buzz that you got, chirping at other fans and yelling at, doing all that, Raider shit. And then, then we got to go on with Graf. So we got to, meet. And then that was the first time we'd actually met Graf in person. And so just the brotherhood that we got there with Graf and got to meet Wasted and Hammer and, all these guys and got to hang out with TJ Simone Raider. And, we got to meet all and see all these people, man. It's what a great time to be in Vegas at the NFL draft. And like I said, the NFL draft is like my favorite time of the year just because what's our future going to look like? It's one of those things where, it's like, when you're watching a movie, what's the climax? What?
Right. It's nothing but potential.
It's nothing but potential, man, for sure. Yeah, everyone is 0-0, and we're all going to be super fired up about our picks, and we're all going to think that we're going to win the Super Bowl right after the draft and stuff like that. So yeah, it's just, I mean, it's so much fun. Come on,
you get to think about how good your Madden team is going to be this next year.
Let's go.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
I hope they draft somebody fast. You know what I mean?
Plus the Raiders, they probably will.
They probably will. Yeah, but it's like, man, because no matter what, you can't match speed in freaking Madden.
That's it.
But yeah, man, it is. It's a fun time of year, and so look forward to it for sure. And as I mentioned, we'll have our draft show here from the Fan Cave.
Yes.
On draft day. But I think next year we might have to make some different plans. We might have to go be somewhere. All right. One last thing before we get out of here, I want to ask you a question, Jeff.
Okay.
We got this running back.
We do.
All-world running back. At least this last season he was.
Yeah.
Got the franchise tag, has not signed the tender yet. So he's not officially ingrained as a Las Vegas Raider at this point.
Okay.
There are rumors out there that he may not want to be part of the Las Vegas Raiders based on feeling insulted that he got the $10 million non-exclusive franchise tag. So for non-exclusive, that means that he is allowed to negotiate with other teams. The Raiders are allowed to match that offer if he comes to an agreement. And then if they choose to not come to an agreement based on those other negotiated terms, if that other team wanted him bad enough, they'd have to give the Raiders 2 first-round picks in exchange. I love me some Josh Jacobs. The only Las Vegas Raider jersey I own is a Josh Jacobs jersey. It's got the inaugural patch on it and the whole thing. I love it. And I don't buy jerseys of younger players. But I bought that one because I wanted to have a Vegas jersey, and that's the player I chose.
Sure.
I'm all about some JJ. He's got a Raider tattoo.
Yep.
Dude is legit.
Yep.
Okay?
Absolutely. Yeah. And me on the opposite end, I exclusively buy players that I'm a fan of that day. I've got a million Las Vegas Raiders jerseys.
Did you get your Garoppolo jersey in yet?
No. So that's interesting. So it hasn't come in yet because the Fanatics, the folks at Fanatics they have to wait and officially get the roster from the Raiders that has his official number on it. Everyone knows he's going to be 10, and that's how Fanatics, sells it, is that he's number 10. I mean, Garoppolo's already held up a number 10.
Yeah.
But until the team tells Fanatics, here's our official roster with the jersey numbers, they can't make it yet or whatever. So they haven't made it. So it said that I may not get it till like August or something like that. Yeah. So
because I remember when we signed Mariota and you got his jersey, you had a custom made.
I got a custom made. Yeah. Okay. So I could have done that, but I just
not that much of a hurry.
I'm not that much of a Garoppolo fan yet. He's my favorite quarterback right now, but I mean, he can wait in line. I'll get that jersey before the season starts. We'll be all right. But shit, where was I going with that? But I got 5 Josh Jacobs jerseys.
Oh, there you go.
I mean, I'm a huge Jacobs fan as well. I've got the black home. I've got a silver one that they sold on Fanatics. I've got the away one. I've even got that's maybe the only Oakland Raider jersey that I have that has the 60th anniversary, the last season in Oakland.
Oh.
I got the 60 patch on that one, and it's the old AFL. It's really cool. Yeah, I've lost a bunch of weight. It doesn't fit me anymore. It looks like I need to give it to Uncle Mosh or something like that. But I mean, yeah. So huge Jacobs fan.
Huge Jacobs fan. Absolutely. We do. We love the guy. But that said, it ain't show friends It's show business.
There you go.
And I think the Raiders did the right thing giving him the non-exclusive tag, because what that does is that allows the market to be set by 31 other teams, that the Raiders don't have to get locked into a negotiating battle, because he's going to have literally, the say of everybody else that would desire to have him on their football team. So if he agrees to a $12 million a year contract with the Buffalo Bills, the Raiders could say, okay, we'll give you $12 million a year too, and you got to sign the damn tag. So it allows that work to be done for you. So it's a smart play. So I get why they're doing it. Also, say those Buffalo Bills offer him $18 million a year, and the Raiders go, ain't no way we're going to pay you $18 million a year when we've got Zeus White already in the house. Plus we can draft, another Isaiah Pacheco in the 7th round and be just fine. I hate it that it's like this. The market is what it is for running backs. I thought it was starting to shift when we saw Dalvin Cook and Derrick Henry and Ezekiel Elliott. We saw these guys start to,
they got their bags a few years ago.
I started seeing some, and I thought, well, maybe we're getting back to a little bit of the bell cow running back in the NFL. Maybe we're getting back to that. No.
Nope.
Last year you saw Zeke Elliott be a touchdown vulture for however many billions of dollars he's getting paid. The Titans are now trying to move on from Derrick Henry. And again, you look at what Isaiah Pacheco did this year. I hate it for guys that play that position. I really do, because it's a very valuable position. But unfortunately, this ain't the days of Jim Brown or even Barry Sanders or Emmitt Smith. Now, your value is only within your rookie contract. And maybe the answer is that for running backs, maybe their rookie contract is only 2 years with a 3rd-year option or something to that effect. I think in order to draw, because it's literally the only position where it's like your window is that big, the end. Yeah. And so I don't blame these guys at all for trying to maximize their dollars on that second contract. I don't blame I don't begrudge him for doing what he's doing, or anybody else, that's trying to leverage for big money. I'm a capitalist at heart, man. Go for it. Get what you can, and you've only got one shot at it. Right. The running backs aren't getting 3rd contracts, and if they are, you're Adrian Peterson, and you're playing for the league minimum, and
you become a journeyman.
And you become a journeyman.
And you get your, go get a $5 million contract here. Yeah, I mean, Adrian Peterson, at the end of his career played for, 6 teams at the very end. He had a stint in Nashville here with the Titans and stuff like that. So, but the advantage here in this situation is all on the Raiders. I mean, they
100%.
hold all the cards, and it's unfortunate that Josh Jacobs hasn't signed that tag, because like you said, the market is shifted big time. You saw all these guys get their bags a few years ago, but you just saw Zeke get cut. Ezekiel Elliott's gone. You're seeing some of these other guys, they're having to sign in for, $11 million, stuff like that. I mean, that window, like you said, is so small. And so Josh, I mean, what's the alternative? Is Josh going to hold out? If he can't, because I don't also see
hold out.
He can't, right? Because
that year would still be valid on his contract, and he would have to do it under the Raiders. The way unless somebody knows differently, I think that's right as well. So, but when you tag him, that's why it's called the franchise tag. You are part of this franchise,
right? But so you look like what you said. Say the Bills offer $12 million. Are the Bills going to be willing to give Josh Jacobs that contract and let go of 2 first-round picks if the Raiders go, no, we're good? Which, I mean, I would imagine that if the Bills put $12 million on the table and the contract or the tag is at 10, the Raiders are going to match that and they're going to give him 12. But like you said, if it's 14 mil or whatever, I don't think that any running back in the league is worth 2 first-round picks right now. None.
And a big contract.
Yeah. None.
Especially one that, look, and this is not shade at Josh Jacobs. We just told you guys how much we love him.
My gosh, he had an unbelievable record-breaking Raiders season.
Unbelievable. Yeah, we just said the best there is in the league. Where was I going with that?
I'll tell you where you're going with that. That's why do you think the Raiders didn't pick up his 5th-year option?
Because he didn't do it the 2 years prior. He did it last year. He had a pretty good rookie season. He had
He had an exceptional
couple
second year.
mid seasons.
Yep.
And then he freaking
year
blew it out.
3 and 4 were very questionable. Whatever, or 4, I guess, was this past
2
year,
and
right?
3.
So 2 and 3 were kind of questionable. He had injury problems.
We didn't pick up his option, so this is the end of year 4.
This is the end of year 4. So yeah, so he had a couple of he couldn't stay on the field, couldn't stay healthy. Came back at the end of that 3rd season, rocked it out. Sealed the deal, got the Raiders to the playoffs, beat the Chargers, all that kind of stuff. Claimed that he had the nickname of the closer. Give me the ball, let me seal the deal. I'll close this game for you. And what did he do? He did that all this past season. My gosh, the 6 wins that we had on the left-hand side of the column, I don't know. We wouldn't have had them. We may have had 2 or 3.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Josh Jacobs won us a lot of football games.
It was against Houston, right? When he freaking literally closed.
Seattle.
I'm sorry, not Houston.
The overtime game. Yeah, the 87-yard run, whatever, which is so poetic because Bo did the same thing.
Right.
Really
Yeah,
cool.
that's it. Yeah.
But you got to look at it as its entirety. Like you've always said, they don't pay you for what you did. They pay you for what you're gonna do.
Yeah.
And is he going to do that again? Sure, would be cool. But that's why you get your $10 million is a lot of money, dude. It's a lot of money, man. Take your $10 million bag, prove that you can do it again, and then I bet the Raiders will probably give you a couple year extension.
And if they didn't, somebody else would pay a ton for you.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So
exactly.
I get it on both sides. I get on the Raiders side. I get on the Josh Jacobs side.
Yes.
I'm certainly empathetic to the situation of it, but the Raiders are doing the right thing. They're doing the right thing from a business perspective. And here's the thing else too. Here's what I think is going to happen.
Okay.
Someone's going to make them an offer. And I keep talking about Buffalo because you think about how good the Bills would be with Josh Jacobs.
What a good ass running back.
Gosh, man. I mean, that's like their biggest deficit that they have is an all-timer like that. Can you imagine that? Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, Josh Jacobs, like that offense would be bananas.
Yeah.
Especially playing in cold weather, being able to grind out a game, running the football.
Exactly. Well, that's why you've seen the Bills all over the trade rumors and stuff with a lot of these running backs. I mean, he's right in the mix there. They're right in the mix. They're talking about Derrick Henry too.
Oh, really? Okay,
yeah. For sure.
Holy shit, that would be insane.
You know
Talk
what I mean?
about a big back to close it out.
Yeah.
Who do you want toting the rock in December and January?
Yeah,
in
you
Buffalo?
want Derrick Henry or mini Derrick Henry? Because right now, Derrick Henry and Josh Jacobs are those guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
So if that were the case, all right, I don't think anybody's gonna, in their right mind as a team, agree to 2 first-round picks for Josh Jacobs. That said, the Raiders can still trade him because they have the rights to his contract. So if you're the Buffalo Bills and you say, all right, Josh, we want to pay you $15 million, but we don't want to exchange 2 first-round picks, to get on the phone, hey, Dave,
will you take one?
Will you take a first, or will you take a second and a third, or a deferred for next year, or whatever for Josh Jacobs? That's probably what's going to happen.
If it's going to happen, then
that's the way it's going to go. Here's a player, and here's a pick. Send us JJ, and then they'll have already agreed on principle off the books. And then when Josh lands, he'll freaking go straight into wherever the Bills play now. It's not Buffalo. I always forget. Orchard Park. He'll march right into Orchard Park and freaking sign that $15 million contract and call it a. I think that's, and that if he doesn't just stick with the Raiders, I think that's where it's going to go.
Well, and I think, and we'll know quick.
Oh, we're gonna know.
We're gonna know it by draft. I think
by draft day. Yeah,
that would be
because they're gonna have to draft somebody if they're
gonna have to draft somebody, and they're gonna want picks right away, and not if they're gonna let their NFL leading rusher go, they're gonna want an immediate compensation.
Oh yeah,
for
for the Raiders, but I'm even talking about for the Bills.
Oh yeah, well,
because if the Bills didn't get Josh Jacobs, they're going to have to draft somebody in the draft too. So it makes sense for both teams.
And that's true. And we
keep talking about the Bills. It could be other teams.
But as far as the Raiders are concerned, that's a perfect draft day trade.
Amen.
The rumors have swirled about Hunter Renfrow and now Josh Jacobs and stuff like that. Those are players that that you could release and let go and get some compensation on draft day, which is another reason why draft day is such an amazing fun time, because you really don't know what's going to happen. Can you do you remember when we were at Graf's party for day 1 of the draft and AJ Brown got traded from the Titans.
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
and where everyone's like, "What is happening? Like, what are they doing?" And stuff. But like, that's fun to me. Like, you know,
Yeah.
I mean, and when you're a fan of a team, not a player, yes, you have players that you're like, man, that's my dude, man. He's good. But like, when you're just a fan of the team and more than just a player, like, I mean, what more do you want out of that? Like, that's so fun,
especially
man.
when moves start happening.
Yes,
and we
that's
see
so
that more and
cool.
more. Didn't used to see as much movement on draft day, but now we're starting to see it a lot more and more,
Yep.
man. It's exciting, man. I can't wait.
Yep.
I'm
Yep.
ready for it. I'm ready for it. All right, Raider Nation, we love you guys so very, very much. I'll leave it to Swag Jeff to sign us off, but I just want to tell you we love you. Thank you for all that you do to support us here at Raiders Fan Radio. We will see you back here in the Fan Cave next Wednesday. That is 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 Eastern. Michelle will be back in here, and we'll be talking about whatever the latest and greatest when it comes to the Raiders is. But we appreciate you, all the support you give us for this show and for our nonprofit, the One Nation Foundation. Go subscribe to the audio podcast. You'll love it, I promise. It's anywhere you can find a podcast service, Raiders Fan Radio. See?
And thanks everyone for being here in the chat. We don't know who you are because this is not a live show, but we love each and every one of you. Thank you for all your support, all the donations that you may or may not have given tonight. It all goes to the One Nation Foundation. Thanks everyone. I love these little quick hit shows. I don't know how long we've been going. What was it, like an hour or something like that?
Right at an hour.
Yeah, right at an hour. So thanks for sticking in with us. Talking draft, talking Raiders, talking other shit, you know, whatever. This is always just so fun for us. We enjoy it, and we'll see you live in the chat because that's another fun thing that we get to do. We get to follow the chat a little more close when these premieres happen and stuff like that. So much respect to each and every one of you. Thanks for everyone that watched the Raiders Fan Radio Rundown, where we also take a lighter side journey into the dark side. Don't forget, boys and girls, what happens in Vegas is starting in Oakland. We love you guys. Good night.
Get out, YouTube! Have a good weekend!
Goodbye.